Well, I couldn't have thought a better way to start off this video than taking the truck off the jump. As you can see, we did have a little bit of a hard landing here. I don't know if this is the front, maybe the rear end. We do have a little bit of a chunk taken out over here as well, but the old F-150, always a champion, always good for a good jump. And I gotta say, there's nothing more fun than a cheap old truck that you can just beat on. And it looks like we stirred up the gnats, so let's get out of here. All right, so we're up at the house garage. I got the lift kit and everything for the Ram project here for our 95 3/4 ton. And we're gonna load that up into the Ford, take it down to the shop, and then we're gonna give you guys a little bit of an update of what we got going on the project. So after our jump, it appears that our brake pedal has pretty much gone away. So gonna have to bleed this thing and see if we got a leak anywhere, but that's all right. It's a yard truck. Who needs brakes anyway, right? And we're making it down the driveway. Pedal goes all the way to the floor, and if we get right to the end, we can get it to stop. So I think we're gonna have to look at that very soon. All right, see how these brakes work. And all the way to the floor. We can get it to stop if we push it all the way down. That's not too good. Have a quick look under the hood here. Check our master cylinder. Looks like we're a little low. Grab some fluid and see what happens. She's taken quite a bit. I didn't see any leaks on the ground, so did take quite a bit of fluid. We got it full right to the top. Let's see if we pump it, if we can get any pedal back. Well, we got a little bit of pedal, but it is super spongy. We definitely have some air in here. So a little backstory on the F-150. I bought this truck for 150 bucks just to have fun with on the channel, jump it, do donuts, all that kind of stuff. And it's actually held together really, really well. The brake lines on this thing, another story, they were really, really bad. And we stepped on the brakes one time and brake fluid started pouring out. And when I started taking the old brake line out, you could basically brake it in your hands. So I put a whole new piece of brake line on this entire side. But I did end up driving it a little bit longer than I should have with a low pedal and the brake fluid flying out of it. And I think what happened was the proportioning valve over-centered. So it basically only had front brakes because the leak was in the rear. And now that we took it off the jump, it must have recentered itself, and that's why we lost pedal. So now all the air that was in the rear is now in the system, and we lost our pedal. So I think what's gonna happen is we're just gonna bleed that air out of the system, and we should be good to go for many more jumps to come. But that's gonna have to wait for another day because we do have the 1995 Ram project here on the lift. As you can see, we have our tires lined up. We have our rear ones on, and you can see the difference of what these tires made to this truck is absolutely amazing. Look how much wheel well. I mean, the lift is obviously up a little bit, so I'm hoping we might come somewhere with this kind of wheel gap when our lift is installed, but we're gonna have to wait and see. That's gonna be a 5-inch lift. I think right now this tire is off the ground, but if you look at this tire and we go over here, and this is our original tire. So very, very big difference between these two. So as for our progress on the build, I do have all the holes drilled for our fender flares. This is kind of the idea we're going for. I've got a stainless bolt, and then I've got a riv nut in here. So basically what we're gonna do, run our bolt through these top holes, and then we're gonna be able to have the entire top of the flare fastened to the fender, and then it's not gonna go anywhere. Unlike the decorative bolts that they gave with this Lund kit, which I wasn't really too happy with, but This way, everything should be nice and secure. And over here, we do have some progress on our winch install. Now, this was a little bit of work. What I did is I went on Amazon and I bought a channel winch mount. This is a universal mount for pretty near any winch. This is the 36-inch version, and what I did is I cut down on both sides just so everything would be centered and we could get it in between the frame rails. Because on these Ram trucks, there's actually 6 bolts on the frame in the back. So I figured what I'd do is I just drill the holes so they'd match up. And the bolts, the factory bolts, are actually long enough so you have enough thread that you can bolt this plate into place. But it wasn't all easy. We did have to cut down both sides. Obviously, that took a little bit of time. And you can see where this nice straight marker line is. We're gonna be trimming these sides here just so our 4th gen bumper can fit once again. These are the 4th gen plates. I got these from eBay. Then you can bolt on a 4th gen bumper like the one that's in front of me. So we are going to be trimming on both sides to make that fit once again. Factory tow hooks still in their original spot. Everything worked really good with that. Our condenser, I did end up grinding out these a little bit and raising it up as much as I possibly could, just so we had enough clearance, because the winch actually was touching there, and I wanted to be able to make sure everything had enough clearance, especially when we go down the trail. You don't want things rubbing or anything like that. And even though the AC doesn't work in this truck, I'd like to try to recharge it, and hopefully it does work. But either way, we'll deal with that when that comes. So another thing that needed to change was the transmission cooler lines. I ended up getting some hose and some fittings, and I cut off the original ones. And these ones kind of go in a loop back behind here, so they got nice slack and everything like that. You can move these around. They're not tight or anything to the winch, but we did just have enough clearance to be able to get that kind of out of the way. And also on the original cooler lines, I have the old part that I cut off right here. There is a quick connect in the middle, and I know especially on the Cummins, just from the vibration of these trucks, that part actually fails and you end up losing all your transmission oil, which is definitely something you don't want to have happen, but now we've eliminated that as well. And we still have to make our connections on this side of the winch, but you can see in there, actually I had to cut about 1/8 of an inch out of the top of that cross member, just kind of the width of the winch from here to here, just so this frame could actually sit far enough back so it's not kind of rocked forward, because it was actually touching when I had everything lined up. And I just wanted to make sure it had enough clearance in there, but it was so little that we had to cut out. It really isn't going to make a difference for the structure of the frame. So one thing I did run into is I had to push the fins back on the condenser just to get this engagement lever in its proper position. If you're going to have it in free spool, you just kind of turn it this way and then it's out of the way. And when you're driving down the road, you can actually turn it halfway, and then you're not going to be pushing on this if everything's moving as you're driving down the road. If you're worried about getting a hole in your condenser, it's not ideal. I think ideally, if you could just cut this off and make a different type of lever, and then you can keep that out of the way. But all in all, this is just kind of a budget build truck. I mean, it's a $900 truck. We're just kind of doing what we can with what we have. This is probably one of the cheapest winches I could find on Amazon. This is a Smitty built 9500 XRC. It actually seems to be a fairly good quality winch. I guess we'll see how long it lasts, see how it all works out on the trail. But I will have a link for this in the description, as well as the winch plate. So the front end of this truck is going to have a lot of goodies on it. I'm really excited to see how it all turns out. We do have the winch in there now. We have the 4th gen bumper with these mounting plates. Made it really, really easy to get this installed. What I'm going to be doing is cutting a hole in the front of this bumper so we can get the fair leads on, and hopefully everything lines up really nicely with the winch. But I just wanted to have a nice flush mount. I know there's mounts where you can get them to the front of the vehicle, or you can put a hitch in the front and have this big monstrosity hanging off the front of your truck. I kind of wanted to have a more clean look, and I also have a bull bar for this truck, and I'm not exactly sure if everything's going to line up and fit, but I'm definitely going to try to put it on if I can. And you can see we do have the factory fog light holes in this bumper, and I'm going to be putting some rigid pods in there as well. I do have the radiator shroud and the fan out right now because the belt needs to be replaced, and also the water pump is leaking, so I have a brand new water pump right up there. Get that all fixed up and ready to go. So definitely making headway on the Ram project. This week I hope to get the suspension, everything, all this old rusty junk taken out of here, put our 5-inch zone lift kit in, make sure our tires and everything fit. Also, we're going to be removing the transfer case. This transfer case has something wrong with it. If you put it in 4-wheel drive, it just grinds. So something is definitely wrong inside. We're going to take it apart and fix it. I do have parts for that one. But Send It Steve actually just bought a 95 Ram, which he's getting rid of the powertrain. He said his transfer case is in good shape, so I made a deal with him. We're going to be pulling that one out and putting that in this truck for now. And then I can rebuild the other one and use it as a spare or swap them out later on. Just see how everything goes. So there you have it, everybody. A whole lot going on in Hammerdown Motorsports shop. stuff with the truck, stuff with construction. We've got the green F-150 out there, which I plan on doing some pretty crazy stuff with, just one thing at a time. We gotta just kind of work through the workload and get the stuff that's more of a priority out of the way first, but we are gonna be doing some pretty insane stuff with that truck, so definitely stay tuned for that. And if you have any suggestions, definitely drop them in the comment section. Anything goes with that truck pretty well. So if you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. And as always, keep that hammer down.